Welcome back. You're aiming to get straight to the core knowledge and, well, that's exactly what we do here.
That's the plan.
Today, we're jumping into something really fundamental for any business. Understanding budgets and forecasts.
Yeah, they get mixed up all the time, don't they?
They really do. But they're quite distinct, and getting a handle on both is, frankly, a bit of a game changer.
Absolutely. Our source today, a guide on mastering these tools, really highlights this. Knowing the difference gives you clarity.
Clarity in what can feel like pretty murky financial waters sometimes.
Exactly. It lets you anticipate things better, navigate bumps in the road. Think of it like this. The budget is your detailed map planned out for the year ahead.
Okay, the map.
But the forecast, that's your real-time GPS. It's constantly updating based on current conditions, traffic, roadblocks, you name it.
I like that analogy, map versus GPS. So if you ignore the GPS,
You might be sticking to an old route that just doesn't work anymore, given what's actually happening.
got it. Okay, let's dig into that. What is the core difference then? Annual budget versus a rolling forecast.
Right, so the annual budget, that's really your financial blueprint for the year. It's about taking those big, long-term strategic goals.
The 5-year plan, maybe?
Yeah, exactly, and translating them into concrete financial targets for each department. It's usually pretty collaborative.
Involving department heads, you mean?
Mm-hmm. Getting their input to make sure it's realistic and actually helps achieve the overall strategy. It anchors the year.
Okay, so it makes the big picture actionable for the next 12 months. What about the rolling forecast then? Where does that fit?
That's where the dynamism comes in. A rolling forecast isn't static like the budget. It constantly takes your actual monthly results.
The real numbers coming in.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And it feeds them back into the model to update your projections for the next period, often say the next 12 or 18 months.
So it's always looking ahead, but based on the latest info.
Exactly. It's all about financial agility, responding to what's actually happening in the business environment right now. It's fascinating how quickly you can spot trends or deviations this way.
Right. Budget's the plan. Forecast is the continuous adjustment. Now, the guide we looked at really stressed aligning strategy and finance first. Why is that step one?
Well, because your financial plans can't just be number crunching exercises done in isolation, right?
Right.
They need to directly power the business's ambitions. If strategy says go left, finance needs to provide the resources and track progress for going left.
Makes sense.
So it means integrating that longer-term financial view, maybe a 5-year plan, with the core business objectives. Leaders need to work together on this.
To make sure the money follows the mission.
You got it. And part of that is setting up the right financial indicators, the KPIs, so you actually know if you're making progress towards those strategic goals.
Like tracking customer acquisition cost if growth is the aim.
Perfect example. Okay, so how do these tools work together in practice? The budget and the forecast.
Good question.
The annual budget lays down that initial marker. It's the benchmark derived from the strategy, turning goals into department actions.
The starting map.
Yes. Then the rolling forecast comes in and overlays the real world onto that map as actual results flow in each month.
You update the forecast.
Mm-hmm. You see where you're on track compared to the budget, where you're drifting off course, and you adjust your future outlook accordingly. Regular check-ins are absolutely vital.
Like course corrections during the journey.
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay, but things don't always go to plan. What about when actual results differ from the budget or forecast? The guide talks about managing variance.
Variance analysis. This is super important. It's about digging into why there are differences between what you expected and what actually happened.
Not just seeing the gap, but understanding it.
Exactly. Are sales lower because of a competitor or because our marketing campaign didn't land? Are costs higher due to materials or inefficiency?
Finding the root cause.
Yes. And that analysis does two things. It helps you fix the problem or adjust your strategy right now, and it makes your future forecasting much more accurate. It's your fastest feedback loop.
Okay, makes sense. And the last piece mentioned was scenario planning. Thinking about what ifs.
Pretty much. It's about stress testing your plans.
Yeah.
What happens to our finances if, say, a major supplier goes bust?
Took a risk.
Or what if a competitor exits the market? An opportunity.
Right.
You model these possibilities to see the potential financial impact and, crucially, develop contingency plans before they happen.
Super prepared, more resilient.
Exactly. It shifts the whole mindset from being reactive to proactive. You're thinking ahead about potential futures.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. The core takeaway seems to be Budgets give you that fixed annual plan linked tightly to your long-term strategy.
Your roadmap for the year.
While forecasts are dynamic, continuously updated projections based on what's happening now.
Your real-time GPS.
And you really need both to navigate effectively.
You absolutely do. And, understanding this also gives so much more context when you look at things like the balance sheet or income statement. It helps explain the story behind those numbers.
Definitely. Okay, here's a final thought for you listening. How could really embedding these 5 steps, that alignment, the detailed budgeting, rolling forecasts, variance analysis, and scenario planning, how could that truly change your view of your organization's financial health and its direction? What opportunities or maybe risks might suddenly become much clearer with that deeper insight?
Worth thinking about.
Indeed. Until our next deep dive, keep exploring.